On June 7th, the country will be asked 4 questions that have the power to change the nation's constitution. Our live television coverage begins at 6 p.m. with results and analysis. Join Channel 12 for Amendment 2016.
Thanks so much for joining us. Coming up, the news tonight.
Emotions filled Bahamas Faith Ministries Church this morning as a family that was killed last month was laid to rest. Detailed straight ahead.
The immigration minister blasts religious leaders who back a no vote in the upcoming gender referendum. That story coming up on our news.
Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight. In the wake of blistering criticism over their decision to give opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis an ultimatum, the 6 FNM MPs at the heart of this controversy are speaking out. In a memo to the FNM Central Council, the MPs renewed calls for an early convention, insisting Minnis has failed to lead, exercised poor judgment in the extreme, and often kept them in the dark on crucial matters. Vonnie Toot reports.
In a strongly worded memo dated May 31, 2016, FNM MPs Loretta Butler-Turner, Hubert Chipman, Nico Grant, Richard Lightbourne, Theo Neely, and Dr. Andre Rollins said they can remain silent no longer, following what they called unjustifiable, persistent, and intensified attacks on them. Titled A Call to Action, the memo is addressed to members of the FNM Central Council, Party Chairman Sidney Cawley, and leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, and details reasons why the 6 MPs feel the Free National Movement must hold an early convention. The FNM MPs say they all rallied behind Minnis following the FNM's disappointing defeat in 2012. However, almost from day one, there has been a consistent diminishment of Dr. Minnis' level of confidence and support within the country. FNMs and FNM supporters who are honest with themselves will admit that the consistent depletion of public support and goodwill had little to do with the MPs. It had almost everything to do with the leader himself and how he conducted himself. Regarding the FNM parliamentary team's weak performance in the House of Assembly, the memo said MPs could not defend the leader while he was on his feet in Parliament, and when lack of debating skills and adequate preparation transformed him into a punching bag for the PLP ministers. MPs could also not defend the leader when members of the press hijacked him on his way to and from Parliament and eased him into making a statement he had not fully thought through. The memo continues, for well over 3 intensely frustrating and oftentimes painful years, the parliamentary team and former colleagues did everything they could to help and support the leader. Dr. Minnis just did not trust the team, nor did he trust the more than 70 years of experience in political leadership that it represented. The examples of Minnis' failed leadership, they say, are far too numerous to mention. However, they noted, the most recent example of this was the disaster of Tugi and Bobo. Even as he and the former national chairman were talking and coordinating with these men, they say Dr. Minnis kept his colleagues completely in the dark. PLP politics aside, it is clear that by inviting this pair into his home, Dr. Minnis exercised poor judgment in the extreme. According to the memo, the FNM leader's apparent lack of trust in his parliamentary team was evident shortly after the 2012 general election, noting that many FNMs cringed when Minnis declared that the Ingram era is over. They said, from the by-election in North Abaco, the leader showed evidence that he was separating himself from the court's tradition, legacy, and history of the FNM. We have witnessed with unfailing regret the erosion and squandered support in the public. The 6 MPs say the country is in greatest need at this time of bold, unifying, and capable leadership. However, due to the FNM leader's recent missteps, Bahamians see the official opposition as no less self-interested and no more trustworthy than the PLP or DNA. Adding, it gives us no pleasure in declaring that one of the lasting legacies of Dr. Minnis' tenure as leader will be the tremendously hypersensitive culture of insecurity that permeated the organization. The document concluded, if we respect the views of that wider cross-section of Bahamians, then our clarion call to action by the Central Council would not be clearer. We absolutely need an early convention to speak to the legitimacy of Bahamian democracy. Equally importantly, we need to confirm whether our current leader still benefits from a mandate to lead. Reporting for R News, I'm Vonik Tood.
As turmoil in the FNM continues to play out publicly, FNM Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest is calling for calmer heads to prevail. Pakisha Parker Edgecombe reports.
The headlines have been filled with news suggesting turmoil within the Free National Movement. A group of its very own parliamentarians, including Central Grand Bahama MP Nico Grant, have allegedly given an ultimatum for the party's leader, Dr. Hubert Minnis, to call an early convention or risk having a letter submitted to the Governor General expressing no confidence in his leadership.
I'd be lying if I said that I was not disappointed in the way that it is playing out before the public.
Our news team sat with Deputy Leader of the FNM, Peter Turnquest, who stated that he believes the infighting is having a negative impact. Present FNM parliamentarians aren't the only ones questioning the party's leadership. Former Minister of State for Finance Shivargo Lang has also cited what he believes to be shortfalls, to which Turnquest had this to say.
To all the pundits who have their views, that's fine. They're entitled to them. I don't necessarily have to agree with them. We're doing, I think, the best job that we can, given the tools that we have.
Now, while he acknowledges the Free National Movement is currently experiencing challenges, Turnquest says that is only temporary.
We will be ready for whenever they decide to call the election. We know for sure that this government has failed the Bahamian people.
Reporting for our news from Grand Bahama, I'm Pakisha Parker Edgecombe.
The Free National Movement is in a sad state, according to Democratic National Alliance leader Granville McCartney, who weighed in on the internal conflict within the official opposition at a press conference this afternoon. McCartney said it's clear MPs are attempting to undermine opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis, and if he were Minnis, he wouldn't stand for it.
And heads would roll. Persons to take that approach and then chicken out and don't take it further, well, they would need to meet the consequences.
McCartney said although MPs have a right to give their leader an ultimatum, he's not convinced they've completely thought it through, as regardless of the outcome, Minnis would remain the leader of the FNM, and the leader has a lot of choices.
The leader of the party has significant powers within the party, has significant say in who runs for the next election, has significant say as to whether or not people ought to be disciplined within the party, has significant say as to whether or not people ought to be expelled from the party.
McCartney branded the group of MPs the Sad Six.
One of the Sad Six said that they were not trying to undermine the leader. Well, I don't know what you call that. If you decide to give the leader an ultimatum that he must do certain things or else, and then you have a letter, we're told, to present to the Governor General. Again, this is the second time. If that is not undermining the leader, I don't know what it is.
McCartney, who has been critical of both Minnis and the FNM in the past, said the turmoil within the party is unfortunate, given the FNM is the nation's official opposition.
I would not take it lightly, I can tell you that. And I trust a good doctor would not take it lightly as well. Because that's almost mutiny. That's almost mutiny within the FNM.
McCartney said he noted a few weeks ago that many in the FNM were not satisfied with their leader, and now we're seeing that come to fruition in a very public way. In other news, family, friends, and co-workers gathered at Bahamas Faith Ministries this morning to celebrate the lives of Princess and Brady Sims, the couple who died tragically in their Nassau Village home last month after being poisoned by toxic fumes from a generator connected to their house. Simone Davis reports.
Kind, loving, respectful, and thoughtful were just some of the words used to describe Princess and Brady Sims this morning during their homegoing service.
Farewell to my friend, my cousin, Brady Sims. Even though my heart is heavy,
Even though my heart is heavy, I am honored to pay tribute to this giant of a man I was blessed to know. All of you knew him as Brady. Most of those back home knew him as Sugar. I do not know why, nor how he earned the nickname Sugar, nor do I care to. In fact, I am too afraid to know the answer, but this is the name that I and many
Brady and Princess Sims were found unresponsive in their home last month, along with their 7-month-old granddaughter, Dior Williams. Police said they all consumed large amounts of carbon monoxide from a generator the couple purchased the day before their death. Brady and Princess later succumbed to their injuries as their granddaughter fought for her life in the hospital. Those who knew the couple said they shared a close bond and they died together because they couldn't live apart.
They were inseparable, even in death. As I greeted the children last week, even in the midst of all of the emotion, they commented, God had it this way. Mommy and Daddy had to go together because neither could live without the other.
The couple's nephew, Aaron Forbes, shared his favorite memory of his aunt and uncle.
I have some auntie and uncles in here, so I have to be careful what I say. Uncle Brady and Auntie Princess were one of the greatest uncles and auntie this planet has ever seen. And I love them, and I regret all the
Princess Sims served as a receptionist in the Ministry of Tourism for 20 years. Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe shared these fond memories.
She was a person who said what she meant and meant what she said. And yes, it's so true that she loved Hubert Ingram, but she loved me too.
Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade also left this advice with the Sims children and shared how he remembers Brady Sims, who served as a police reserve.
I am now your dad. How do you like that? So we now embrace you. We embrace you with the same love, Dominique and Dominica, that your mama, Princess, and your daddy, Brady, embraced us. They poured.
Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.